Hello and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. I'm Jana and this is part 3 of this week's Funky Junky Saturday Showcase. So we've been altering and assembling different bits and pieces of Idea-ology. Now we're going to put it all together into a fantastically spooky, fun Halloween vignette. If you'd like to see which supplies I'll be using in this video, go ahead and pause here. All right. Let's head over to the Crafty Corner. And now, the third and final part of this week's Saturday Showcase at the Funky Junky. Here we're going to be wrapping up all of our Idea-ology alterations by placing them into a Tim Holtz Curio clock. This thing is absolutely amazing. It's a great shape. It's a fantastic matte black, and we're going to be turning this into a spooky sweet midnight Halloween candy kitchen. So to start with, we're going to be creating a extended base for this Curio clock. And to do that, I'm going to be using these chipboard pieces from the Etc. line. And we're going to be gluing these into a base, and we'll be adding that underneath the clock. To glue this, I'm going to be using some super glue gel. This is my favorite quick drying super glue. So we're going to be adding just a little bit to the edges of our Etc. pieces and then putting them together. Okay, just spreading a little bit here and there. It's not going to matter if it drips over the edge because we are going to be altering this once the pieces are all stuck together with some crypt paste. Just take that and take these two pieces and smush them together just like that. Oh, I want to make sure this is nice and flat. That looks pretty good. Oh boy, I can feel it drying already. I just want to make sure everything is neatly lined up. Good. Alright, that's segment 1, and I'll just set this off to the side. Now we're going to put together segment 2. Here I'm going to run a line of super glue along the flat part of the Etc. piece. Just a little bit like that. And we're going to put these two back to back. There we go. Just like that, holding that for a moment or two. And then since this line is going to be hidden, I'm going to add this part onto here. And it won't matter that we've got a jaggedy bit against a straight portion because that part is going to be under the Curio clock. So we'll add another thin strip of glue. Just running that down like this. Nice thing about the super glue, it dries really, really fast and gives a nice solid foundation to work on. Okay, just like that. And I'll put these two pieces together. And I'll just hold this a few seconds so the glue has a chance to set. And then we will put this aside and let it dry. Okay, that is already starting to feel pretty stable, so we're going to set this aside and turn our attention to the clock itself. We are going to start our alterations on the outside of the clock. Now, in the previous video, we made some foil tape alterations, and we embossed it with one of the Sizzix Tim Holtz embossing folders. Now, I've cut these into strips of 1 1/4. And we're going to be placing these strips on the outside of the clock. So we're just going to take this, we're going to peel off the backing and add it directly onto the clock. Since I've already pre-measured, this is going to be a very easy application. So just turning this on the side, taking the back off, just line that up. And place it. There, I like it. Nice, easy application. And I'll just make sure this is all stuck down. Just pushing the edge over. That's just a little bit of hangover. It's feeling pretty good. All right, let's add the next strip. Okay, good. Set that aside and line this up. Oh, you know what? I think I want to... I'm going to pop this part out. That's getting annoying. I think I'll start on this side and have everything kind of meet in the middle. Okay, just like that. I want to make sure everything is lined up. Good. Pushing that down. Excellent. And just gently folding over the little bit of excess onto the edge. Good. Alright, now how many strips do I need? Oh, perfect. It's only going to take 3, so I'll just undo this last one. Turn this. Line it up. Just a slight overlap. Let's see. Good. And carefully lining that up all the way around. There we go. Nice, easy alteration. And again, I'm just going to bend that little extra part over the edge of the clock. There. That's the outside altered. Now, let's go ahead and turn our attention to the inside. For the inside, we had altered some mixed media cardstock, and we had created this fantastic faux stone look. This is pretty neat. And I'm going to be putting that part on the inside of the clock. So, I'm just going to turn this way, and to make life easier, I added some double-sided stick tape to this, so we just have to peel and stick it down like a sticker. It's these little things that make crafting so much more fun and a delight to enjoy. Okay, I'm just going to place that right here. That's good. And we'll just stick that down. Nice and easy. Okay, that is good. Turning back this way, we can now see our faux stone from this side. Great. So we're going to go ahead and set the main Curio clock aside for a moment, and we're going to turn our attention to the back portion. Okay, let's go ahead and pull that in. So for this, I'm going to be altering the back with some distress paint. And the distress paint I'm going to be altering with is going to be chipped sapphire. So just give this a good shake. And I'm going to put some onto the lid. Okay, that should be plenty. And I'm going to go in with a paintbrush. I'm just going to spread that all around and get a nice layer of distress paint. We'll be back in a moment as soon as I've finished painting this. Okay, while we wait for this to dry, we can turn our attention back to the base that we're going to be resting our Curio clock on. So, bringing our base back, I'm going to be going in with some crypt paste, and that's going to give a lovely texture to this. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to change our camera angle for a moment. Alright, so let's go ahead and scoop out some crypt paste. I'm going to be using one of the Ranger palette tools, and we're just going to spread a generous layer all over our base. So I'm just going to spread this on kind of like butter on toast, and then we'll set this aside and let this dry as well. Drying time is probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes since we're putting on a fairly generous portion. And again, as always, different environments will create different drying times. Okay, it's not bad. A little bit more. Turn this. Alright, just a little bit more should finish this off. Okay. Oh, just want to cover that up. Almost done. Alright, I would say this is looking pretty good, so we're going to go ahead, set this aside, and move on to the next part of our project. Now that the paint is dry, I want to add a starry background on the back of this curio clock for the interior portion. Now, we have a bit of a raised edge, so I'm going to try to work around this, and I'm going to be using a stencil. This is stencil THS 131. So I'm going to try to carefully push this down and get some translucent grit paste through here. But this is going to be a little tricky since we are not working on an entirely flat surface. So grit paste, translucent, and again I will go in with the Ranger palette knife and we will see what we can do. Okay, I think I will start at the center and work my way out and see how this goes. Alright, so if I press this down firmly, I can get the grit paste through there, and I'll try to just work at an angle and kind of go in a circle and see what happens. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to turn this. Oh, missed a spot. Okay. Oh, uh-oh, it's wiggling. Let's see if I can't keep this lined up. Okay, it seems all right. Now we'll get this side. Ooh, that is definitely not easy. Okay. Trying to keep the stars lined up and quickly getting down this last little bit of grit paste. Okay, I think that's good enough, and we're going to lift. Okay, not terrible, not great, but maybe I can clean that up a little bit. Just going to wipe off the extra bits of grit paste and put that back into the jar. Okay, and I'll set the stencil aside, which I will definitely need to wash. Okay, quickly wipe off our surface. Alright, now looking at this, we've got a couple of spots that need a little bit of cleanup. I'm going to go in with the dye pick and carefully try to scrape away a little bit of that mess. Actually, before I do that, I might as well add the Distress Glitter. I decided that I wanted these stars to be sparkly, so we're going to be adding some Distress Glitter over the top to add some sparkle. Alright, moving that back here, moving this out of the way, and we'll just sprinkle on the Distress Glitter. Okay, pick that up, kind of shake that around, and I'll dump this onto some scrap paper and then put the rest of the glitter back into the jar. Give it a little tap. Oh, that really isn't bad. I like it. Guess I don't need to do too much cleanup. Kind of gives a little halo effect. Alright, neat. So we'll set that away to dry, and I will put the glitter back into the jar. And now on to our next step. Next, let's check back on our base. So our base has finished drying. We now have a nice solid foundation to put our Curio clock on. I've popped the little metal frame back in here, and next we're going to be attaching the Curio clock to the base. And to attach it, I decided to use some hot glue. Hot glue is going to be nice and quick, and it should give us a stable foundation to work on. So, pulling on the hot glue gun, I am using a Sure Bonder high temperature glue gun. It has that nice detail nozzle. So, we're going to take that, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to be running glue around the edges of the base. If it gets a little bit drippy, that's not a big deal. We can cover that up later. And I can also use the heat tool to move the hot glue about. Okay, so I just want to make sure that the base is covered before sticking this down. Okay, that's pretty good. This is a bit messy, not a big deal. We can easily clean this up. Okay, turning this, taking the base, lining that up, and placing that down. Okay. Good, I like that. I'm just going to push that. Oh, push that down. Okay, I'm going to hold that in place for a moment or two. Just give the hot glue a chance to set, and we'll see if I need to reinforce this any further. Oh, I might. Not a big deal. I am planning on camouflaging the base anyway with potentially some moss, so I'm just going to run this bead along here. See what that does. Okay, that is pretty good. I'll just continue to hold that, and we'll check back in a little bit to see how our base is holding up. Okay, the base is looking pretty good. That is a nice solid foundation to work with. Now, setting that over here, we're going to take a second look at this. Now, I decided that I really want to add in some more light elements. I'm going to be running a partial strand of lights all the way around here. And I also want to drill out some holes to get a starry night effect. So I'm going to be doing this with some tiny lights. Now with the tiny lights, I'm going to take the first 8 little lights and I'm going to alter the color. I want to make these a brilliant purple. So I'm going to be pulling in some alcohol ink to change up the color on these tiny lights. For colorant, I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz alcohol ink Vineyard. And to do this, it's going to be very easy. We're just going to add a little drip to 8 of these lights, and then I'll set the light strand aside and work on drilling out some holes in the back of the clock. Okay, so a little bit of ink. Just tap that off. And I'll just do a little drip on each one of these light strands. There. Nice and easy. Okay, next drop. Good. Now I've got a little bit of ink pulled down here, so I'm just going to use my fingers and dab that on for the last 4 lights. I'm just going to be very careful with that light strand so it doesn't get on anything. Okay. Just dabbing the ink on. I can easily use my finger for that. Slide the strand. There. Oh. Okay, I need how many more lights? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more. Just tuck that there. All right. Last one. I just want to make sure that all of these are well coated. Okay, good. So now we can set the light strand aside, and I'm going to start drilling out some holes. For drilling, I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to mark 9 different spots where I want to add stars. So 1. Oh, assuming this, yeah, I think that'll show up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so now I'm going to drill out those holes. For drilling, I have a mini hand drill with me. For drilling, we're going to be using a small hand drill, electric, and I have a 1/8 inch bit on here. So for this next part, we're going to go ahead and put this on fast forward as I drill out these holes. Now for drilling, I'm going to be holding the lid in my hand, and I'm going to be pressing the drill bit on the spots that I've marked. I'm going to be very careful and keep my fingers out of the way of the drill bit. Alright, let's go ahead and put this part on fast forward. Okay, we now have all of our holes in here. I changed my angle because it was really hard to drill through just holding it like this, but setting this up on a couple of jars made quite the difference. Alright, now we are going to add the lights. So, taking my light strand, I'm going to string part of it through here, just the purple ones. Okay, let's see, I want to start with this far hole. Let's see, good, I can just wiggle that through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and oh, I think that is 8. Okay. So with these through here, I'm going to flip this around and press these into the edge of this backing. Okay, I'm also going to change the camera angle so that we have a top-down view and can see as I'm placing the lights around the circle. Okay, so I'm going to take a light and I'm going to place it around the edge of this, and we're going to use hot glue to keep everything in place. Okay, so I'll just take that, move that to the edge, and I'm going to hold that in place while it sets with the die pick. So just like that. I'm going to hold it there and I'll wait just a little bit while it sets up. Okay, that's looking good. And I'm going to make my way all the way around the edge of the circle. And I'll just use a bit of hot glue each time I'm sticking the wire down. I'm going to try to keep the glue off the edge of the wall because I need that part free to click into place with the backing. Just keep rotating. Good. And I can clean up the glue strands later. Just going to keep poking that down. Make sure the wire's in place. Okay. That's good. And rotate again. A little bit more glue. Getting a bit of glue on the edge, but not a big deal. I can scrape that off. Okay, rotating again. Oh, still some more glue that needs to come off. Just scrape that. Good. There, that's looking good. Turning and placing. All right. A little bit more glue here. Spreading it out with the die pick. Turning again, only 2 more spots of glue. Oh, maybe I can get away with 1 more spot of glue. And this will be all set. And then we will turn our attention to the lighting behind. Okay, holding that for a moment. You know, I think I do need that other bit of glue right there. There, that's pretty easy. Good. Now I'm just going to flip this over, and we're going to start attaching the lights through the back. And I'm going to be using just a little hot glue to keep the wires in place as I push these in. So I'm just kind of poking the lights through the holes, and I'm just going to kind of zigzag this until I've got all of my lights placed. Just turning them on their sides, poking the light through. That's not bad. And I'm going to glue these down. Just poke that through. Bit of glue. Should hold them. Okay. That's looking good. Oh, uh-oh. Gotta push that one back through. Good. And I'll just wait a moment for that one to stick. And then I'll keep adding the lights. Okay, this one's gonna go here. Okay, next light. Just kind of pinching the wire down and then poking the light through the hole. There. Nice and easy. Okay, next light. Good. And let's go back with a bit of glue. Okay. And there. Good. The back isn't going to be overly pretty, but you know what? I can live with that this time. Ooh. Okay, that one's going to have to kind of rest over the hole, and this one can get poked in. Oh, maybe that'll give me enough slack to do what I need to do. Alright. Just try to get this one in. There. In theory, that should give me enough space to get this one in too. Just turn that. These are very small lights. This is going to look really good once I have them all in place. What's going on here? Okay. Add some glue here. Alright, let's see if I can get this one in. Oh, uh-oh. Why isn't that one sticking down? To give that a moment to set. I might just have to do that one that way. That's okay. As long as some of the light's coming through. Alright. Ah, glue strands. Lots of glue strands. Okay. I'm going to quickly get out the heat tool and just blast away a few glue strands, and then we'll see how this lights up. Okay, much, much better. Okay, here are the finished lights. Let's see how this looks lit up. Oh, that is very cool. Okay, so I'm now going to try to gently get this onto the rest of the clock. just going to turn this, make sure everything else is going to line up. I also have a little cauldron attached that we're going to do with something with in a little bit. But right now I just want to get this part attached to here. Alright, I'm just going to gently push that in. Try really hard not to disturb the lights. So far so good. Stand it up. Yes. I am loving the way this looks. Okay, so I'm going to turn the lights off for the moment. I've got a cauldron here that I need to do something with. I'm going to pull a couple of lights around. I think I want to put the cauldron here. And now I'm going to change the camera angle so I've got more of a front-facing view. Okay, for this part I want to glue down the cauldron to our base, but first I think I need to sneak the candy corn tree in. Okay, so let's see, how do I want to place this? That is the next question. I've got a whole bunch of lights and there's going to be a lot of crisscrossing going on. Okay, so I want to turn this. Oh, I think I might need the root. Move the roots. Ah. Ooh, let's see. Put that. Let's see. Maybe more like this. Or like this. Now, this is the fun part of putting a vignette together. Putting all the parts and pieces together and finding out which way they work best together. Okay, so I'm going to wrap the roots around here. Try to bring the tree back just a bit. Okay. Pushing those roots down. Now, how am I going to put the cauldron through? Okay, so the cauldron's going to go around front. I'm going to move this part around the back. Okay. Oh, that's going to be really good just like that. So the next thing that I need to do is glue the tree down. Then I can glue the cauldron down. To do that, I think I'm going to need to use hot glue again. Alright. I'm just going to hold that there and I'm going to move the roots out just a little bit. Just going to make sure that that's going to have the best possible grip on the clock. Alright, so we're going to do it like that. I'm going to bring the hot glue in. Then hopefully tuck everything neatly together. Then I'll camouflage out the wires and we'll go on from there. Alright, time to hot glue this into place. So, I'm going to take the tree, and I'm going to add the hot glue along the roots. Here, and here. We're then going to place that onto the vignette, and then I will cement this in place with more hot glue. I'm trying to keep the wires out of the way. Place that down, and I'm going to hold that until it sets. While I'm doing that, I'm also going to sneak a little bit of hot glue underneath the cauldron and put that into place. Let's see, can I lift that up? Yes, I can. Adding a bit of hot glue there. Putting the cauldron down, that gives the roots a little bit more camouflage. And I can poke the wire discreetly into the cauldron. Good. Alright, so far so good. Now I'm just going to turn this to make sure that everything's staying in place. I'm going to add some more hot glue to the tree roots. Okay, that should be good. I want to add a little bit more down here. Alright. That should stay in place. That's the good news. Alright, I've got an extra glue stick when I need it. Now I'm going to add in the bubbles. It's going to go over the cauldron. That's going to provide some very nice camouflage. And to put that in, I'm going to use a little bit of E6000. Not my glue of preference, but right now I want something that's going to be relatively quick and that won't add in any other texture. Okay, good. Now I want to do a quick light check, make sure everything is still going well. Let's see here, which light is this? Perfect. I've got bubbles, I've got stars, I've got some purple highlights, and how's the tree doing? Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to start bending the tree a bit. I want to make sure that everything is in place and looks good. I think I'm going to sneak some hot glue back here to hold the tree in place. I think I can do that so it's out of sight. Alright, should be okay. Just hold that. I want to make sure my tree lights are still good. Yes, tree lights are looking fantastic. Okay. I'm just going to bend my roots down. Sweep my wires back here. I will camouflage them later on. So this is the bulk of the construction for this vignette. Next, we're going to start adding in all of the details, and let's review what our details are. We have our witch. She's going to be going somewhere over here, and I'll probably add a sticker to her, maybe a mask or a hat. We've got a candy bowl. We altered these confections in part 1. That's going to be going on here. We also have a few pumpkins. Those will be fun to throw in. We've got our candied spiders. I've got 2 different altered bats. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but they're both great options. We've got our witch's magic wand. Let's see. We've got glitter bones. Another spider lollipop. Yep. A few more. We've got a bin to hold something in. Not sure what I'll put in there just yet. And another couple of pumpkins. Okay. So, I also had time to make a table, and I'm going to be putting some candy on it. This was really easy to do. I altered one of the milk top pieces and then added a candlestick at the bottom. Just add some glue and a bit of grit paste over the top, and we have a really cool grungy table, which is also going to go into the vignette. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this on fast forward and let the magic happen. That is the majority of our parts and pieces assembled. Now I want to add in a few more things, and then I'm going to go in and add a few bits of moss. First thing I want to add in is this really fun jack-o'-lantern. This thing is so cool. Once I have everything in place, I'm definitely planning on filling this up with all sorts of candy corn. Now, I am going to take some moss, and we're going to tuck that into little places along here to disguise some of that messy hot glue. And to do that, I'm going to be using some Distress Collage Medium. This stuff is the easiest to use for putting moss into places. So I'm just going to put a little bit down here on the table, and I'm going to just dunk the moss in and then tuck it into little places on this vignette. So I'm just going to kind of rip the moss into pieces, and then we'll just stick that into the little corners. Just gonna get all the little tufty pieces of moss ripped up. I'll have lots of pieces to work with, and I've also got some of this really long stuff. This will be good to tuck into little corners as well. So fun, so many options. All right, let's turn this. I think I'll start with some of the long stuff. I'm just going to dip that and then stick that in. There. I really like this. This has such great texture and adds just another fun element to this creation. Okay. Now for a bit of moss, I'm just gonna dunk that and then place it. And we'll just work our way around. I'm just going to turn this. Once I have the majority of the stuff placed, I will go in with the heat tool and blast away those glue strands. Okay, let's tuck a little bit in here. That's good. I want a little bit more to cover that glue spot in the front. Oh yeah, just like that. I need a little bit more collage medium. Okay, bring this down just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Maybe back. There we go. That should be about right. And I'll just keep dipping the moss and placing it there. Now I want some of the longer stuff around the jack-o'-lantern. There should be good. A little bit of the long stuff over here. Just kind of mixing and matching, blending everything together. And this last little piece I think I'll tuck in around the tree. That can go right down there. Oh. That's got stickiness on it. That's okay. I will just grab the die pick and poke it in with that. Okay. Just place this here and use the die pick to poke it in. There we go. Alright, more collage medium. Taking the moss, dipping it in, placing it down. Let's see, I want a little bit more there. That's pretty good. Then I want to poke the last bit of this stuff in the back. And I'll go in with the die pick and make sure that's where it should be. Okay. I'm very happy with the moss. That just looks so cool. Okay. Next I have some of the Tim Holtz Idea-ology Fringe. Now I want to use the fringe as a filler in the back to add just a little bit more texture. So I think I'm going to cut about a 4-inch piece and then we'll crumple it up and see how it fills in those little spots. So taking this, giving it a measurement. Oh, you know what? I think I'll just go for 6 inches. That should work just fine, and I can always cut it up if I have too much. So take this stuff, scrunch it all up. The more we scrunch, the more floofy it's going to get. Just kind of muss this up, make sure you got good texture going. Ooh, this stuff is really fun. I like. Very cool. Okay, I'm not going to bother gluing this down. It seems like it's going to just kind of stay in its own spot if I tuck it in as a texture piece. So just making sure that this is all. Okay, so I'll just cut a piece about here, and we're going to tuck that in over here, and I'll use the die pick to push that into the spot that I want. Oh, okay. I like that. And I wanted to put another little bit under the table. So just poke that in over the spider thingies. Ooh. Huh, guess I didn't need to do that little patch of stonework. This actually works quite well. Alright. And we'll poke that in over here. Okay. Yeah, I'm loving this stuff as filler. That is really cool. Okay, so finishing touches before I go in with more candy corn. I really cannot get enough of that. I have a chipboard word strip that I also would like to add. Okay, I have a sign that I want to put out front as well, and that says Bewitched. So I'm going to do this the simple way and just add hot glue onto here and stick that on the front. There we go. I like it. Now, do I want to add one more pumpkin or not? Could I slip that in here? Yes. Yes, I can. And I will. Okay. Oh, my spider's just trying to wander off. Not a big deal. More hot glue, and stick the spider in. Alright, and a little bit of hot glue on this last little pumpkin. And I'll just drop that right here. I'm going to just scoot that around a little bit with the die pick. There. Okay, I am very pleased. Alright, final step. Let's add some candy corn. To add the candy corn to this little treat bucket, I'm going to be putting in a small piece of crumpled up paper just to give the candy corn a little lift. I'm just going to poke that in there, and then we're going to go in with some Collage medium and add candy corn around the edges. I'm going to fill this with Collage medium, and then we will stick the little candy corns in so that they're kind of spilling over the top with this adorable jack-o'-lantern. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, I think I can get one more over here. 6 and 7. That is a pretty decent pile of candy corn. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is brush a little bit of Collage medium over the top because I want to add a bit of sparkle to these candy corns. So, just going to gently brush this on, maybe just dab it, and then we'll go in with some distress glitter. Just adding a little bit of sparkle since our candy corn tree has some beautiful distress glitter already on it. Okay, that looks good. And to make application easy, I'm using the Distress Glitter Duster. So, there we go. Just give me this little tap to loosen up the glitter. There. Now we have sparkly candy corn. Okay, our project is now complete. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of these fantastic details. This week for the Funky Junky Saturday Showcase, we have created a fun and spooky Halloween vignette. We have decked it out with a candy corn tree, altered bubbles, sugar bones, candied spiders, and all sorts of fun confections. Thank you so much for joining me here today for this week's Funky Junky Saturday Showcase. And until next time, happy crafting!